What's up, y'all? And welcome back to AAB TV. Y'all really ran up that straw review or spoiler or whatever y'all want to call it. Y'all really ran that up. So thank you to all the new subscribers, all of the viewers, y'all who left so many comments, whether y'all agreed with me, whether y'all understood me, like whatever it was. I appreciate y'all. I really do. I appreciate you. I do. But y'all, it's time to talk about something else that I've watched. It is not a movie. It is a show, I guess, that is starting, or maybe I haven't looked further enough into it, but that has already been out. It's called Den of Kings, and it's actually on Kirk Franklin's YouTube. And he put out an episode that I've been waiting for. I saw previews for it, and I've been waiting for it. It came out on Father's Day, which was Sunday. And I sat and I watched it. It's about an hour long. And it was such a refreshing conversation that should be starting more and more conversations as far as black males, black fathers, black just businessmen, entrepreneurs, young men, like all walks of life. Like, it really like made me feel just so much love inside. So did y'all watch it? If not, I'm gonna talk about it. And by now y'all done seen clips on TikTok, clips on Instagram, Facebook, all over the place. So I'm not spoiling nothing. Let's just clear the air. I'm not spoiling anything because it's been out for almost a week now. So let's talk about it. I'm gonna share you some points that I loved and some takeaways that that I have from the episode. So let's get into it, y'all. So it starts out like they're all meeting up in this little, studio area, wherever they are. And the guests of the hour are comedian Country Wayne, comedian DC Young Fly, comedian Lou Young, and actor, entrepreneur, social media influencer DeVal, and Kirk Franklin. So they're eating food, they're chit-chatting it up, as I like to say, just joking and laughing and stuff, giving Kirk Franklin all his flowers. And so then they get their food, they're sitting down at the table and the conversation begins. So Kirk just starts to just ask, like, what their the biggest myth that, or the misconception that they've heard when it comes to black fathers. And a lot of them said the fact that they were absentee, like, and DeVal hit them with some facts of the fact that, black men are the most involved fathers, and just different things like that. So, and that there are no perfect fathers, like nobody is perfect. So once they sat down, he got to talking a little bit more. He learned a little bit more about Country Wayne, which we know, I think he's about 36, 37. And it's, he shares in his comedy, that he had 7 kids by the time he was 22. He used to be in the streets. He used to sell drugs and all that stuff, but he doesn't do that anymore. He's a vegan. Like, Kirk Franklin was like just so taken aback by him, especially when he said he had 10 kids. And I was like, why is Kirk Franklin acting like he don't know that this man got 10 kids? He was trying to be so funny, talking about, oh, your woman got 10 kids. And he was like, come on now. And so, I don't know if you've seen that clip, but that's where DC Young Fly's like, he's populating and manipulating. So they were talking about that and laughing, and then they got to talking about that who comes first to them, and how he's like, Country Wayne, I think, was the one that said that he doesn't come first, like his kids come first. And then talks about how he takes care of all of his kids is always around, his kids is always at his house, and him and 2 of his baby mamas have a really close-knit relationship, and they have keys to his house. They're in and out, they help come and clean with the kids, take care of the kids' clothes when he's not there, etc. And so they're like, agreeing with it. But DeVal comes along and he's like, no, I don't agree with that. And mind you, that they were, good conversations that, like I said, needed to be had. But none of it was disrespectful. none of it was like putting another down. They literally were just open and receptive to everybody's opinion, basically, or view or perspective on life and fatherhood and, you know, relationships and things like that. And so DeVal put it to them like, you know, none of his kids don't come first, his wife don't come first. Now, it's not saying that, you know, he's like rah, you know, I'm the king of the castle, y'all do what I say, but it's like he was brought up in an environment where his father put himself last to make sure that his wife and his kids, you know, were well taken care of. So he took that on. And that's another conversation that was being done at the table, or had around the table, was that, you know, the way in which everybody grew up is different, and it shows in how they have their relationships, which is true, and it shows in how they parent their children, which is also true. And basically, like I said, he was like, everybody comes first, because to him, that is what a leader is. He comes last. To him, a leader is they come last, and everybody else comes first. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that one. And then they got to talking about Kirk Franklin's life. We all know that he dealt with rejection. He was raised by, I think, a great aunt, and he even said like she really didn't want him, but he never knew who his father was until recent years. And then his mom was absent, she just gave him up. And so he dealt with a lot of those things, which again, like I said, caused for him to make mistakes in relationships, caused for him to deal with a lot of issues. And they also brought up the fact that, you know, because he's a public figure, we all know that there was like a big fallout between him and his oldest son, and they was cussing each other out and all those things. And so the guys were asking, basically, like, as a celebrity, how did he handle that? Because, you know, he's held to a certain standard because he's a gospel artist, or a gospel icon, if you will. And to know that, you know, all of that came out to the public and just, you know, gave everybody free reign to give their opinion, talk about them, laugh at them, you know, even downplay Christianity as a whole because he cussed and things like that, like how he handled that. And so that's where he got into, you know, the rejection and the things that he's still dealing with, the things that he's still praying on, the things that, you know, he's not perfect. But like he said, we serve a perfect God, so he is a flawed man. But at the end of the day, like, he learns from his mistakes. And he hopes that one day him and his oldest son, y'all got my notes. Him and his oldest son can rectify their relationship, if that's the word. But I was very glad that y'all, it just amazes me. It amazes me how open and vulnerable some men can be, because I was not raised around that. I was not raised around and I was never in a relationship with somebody who was super vulnerable, super open, willing to communicate, willing to listen, not over talk. Like, it was such a refreshing, like, I am so like a big fan of open, really good, mature communication skills. Communication goes a long way. And I just, like, loved it, especially seeing real men, flawed, imperfect, you know, some married, been married, separated. DC is a single father, because we all know that his girlfriend passed away recently. So it's like, and he's raising their kids now. DeVal's been married since he's been young. So he was trying to get, you know, some wisdom in that area from Kirk, because he's been married to the same woman for years as well. And Lou was just, you know, doesn't quite have the best relationship with his baby mother, but, you know, he's working on it. Their work point was in these relationships, like, as a man, they have to do better with not always going after the girl because she look good, going after the girl because her booty big, or the sex is good, like all of that stuff. They know that with that comes a baby. With that comes toxicity in relationships, because like they said to Lou about his dealings with his baby mom, like, y'all was just, you know, doing y'all thing, and then a baby comes along, and then y'all don't even know each other for real. So of course there's gonna be, you know, heads butting. Y'all not gonna see eye to eye because you don't know nothing about this person. So again, that was a good conversation that they had about men being holding themselves accountable for making better decisions, and also just how people around them, like I said, environments, what they watch, what they listen to, how that influences the decisions that they make too, and like I said, who you lay down with, because they want to be the men that have those stable homes, and stable homes have value, they matter, and it doesn't always work out that way, but that is God's agenda. That is what He wanted, men and women to build kingdom relationships, kingdom children, and, you know, go out and do your thing. And then there was on the flip side of that, when they were talking about their influences and, you know, the decisions that they make, a lot of stuff, it has value, but they fear they fail, right? And with fear, you know, a lot of men feel like they have to be super macho, and they can't, like I said, show their emotion and all of that stuff because but that is a true man. That's what they were trying to explain. Like, that's a true man. You're being open with your kids. I think there was a point Deval made. Being open with your kids, letting your kids know some fears that you have, because like he was explaining, he thought his father was, you know, this stand-up guy, his hero his whole life. And then there was a disagreement that they had, and his dad, you know, he just asked his dad a few questions, and his dad was basically like, look, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And he's like, I'm trying to model my fatherhood and my relationship with my sons after you, and you mean to tell me you was going through the same things that I'm going through in my mind? Like, men need to open up. Men need to have these conversations. They need to let each other know, like, hey, I'm feeling this way, without it being seen as weak, which a lot of people in society, a lot of people in the world make it seem like it is, for a man to voice his concern, to voice the fact that he doesn't know something, to voice the fact that he's afraid to fail, to voice the fact that he don't know his plan, he don't have no vision, he don't know what to do, he don't even know the questions to ask or the right things to say. And that is why, to me, it's so important to teach children at a young age. And for those of y'all who do not know, I'm in school to be certified to teach kindergarten and preschool. Although I do already work within the school system here in Louisville, Kentucky. And I said that I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to reach the kids at the young age, where as they grow, they understand and they know that, one, there's somebody who loves and cares for them, but two, somebody that will listen to them. Because a lot of times we can just disregard kids, and then disregarded kids become, you know, the problem children sometimes. And then they grow up to be, you know, just bitter people, bitter adults, male and female. And it's like, that's not the way that I believe that we are supposed to be. And when you are open and honest with kids, the kids don't got to know everything, but as Deval was making his point, they need to know that they can relate to you, especially if you are their father. Like, fathers are, you know, the leaders in the home, or they're supposed to be the leaders in the home. And they have to know that there are going to be times where they're challenged, where they are fearful, where they are nervous, anxious, and to just be like, oh, suck it up, because that's what men do. They suck it up. They're macho. Like, that's avoiding the and causes more problems, honestly. And so I was very glad that they brought that point up. Like I said, be vulnerable with kids. Everybody is not perfect. Don't walk in fear. It gives stuff too much power. And that was a quote from DC Young Fly, who, by the way, is very, very, very wise. Y'all can say what y'all want to about him. He's goofy, whatever, but he's very wise. And all of these men have a Christian background. They you can tell, especially with Country Wayne and of course Kirk and DC, like, they know the word. They were quoting scripture. They were doing they were really like just blowing Kirk Franklin away, because he just sat there and was just listening. He would chime in, but he was just so enamored with the fact that these fellas who are, he said, is so much younger than him, shared so many of their experiences and shared so much wisdom. And then, like I said, they went on to talk about just doing your best, and even if you never see the seeds that are planted, and this is from Kirk Franklin, doing your best. And even though we try as people, as parents, whatever, to get your children, or nieces and nephews, whoever, to see the things that we see the way that we see them, because we've already experienced these things, don't force it, right? He was saying just to basically plant the seeds and allow God to water them, and even if we never see it, know that some type of fruit is going to come from it, meaning something good is going to grow from that. Even if we're long gone, know that those seeds that you planted in those person is going to carry on. And that's also extremely important as a father, because fathers give identity, and when fathers are not there, you know, identity is broken, and then it causes identity issues within their children. It causes them to not really understand who they are, because they don't have that male figure there. So again, I'm not a man, I can't speak, you know, necessarily for men, but what I can say is, being a daughter, a father is very important. My father passed away in 2022, December 2022, and I was a daddy's girl growing up. But along the lines, as I grew up, I no longer saw my daddy as like, oh my God, that's my dad. I saw him as a man. So I realized the mistakes he made. I noticed things that was not good that he did. And not saying he was a bad father, and because he was there. But he wasn't there, if that makes sense. And some of the guys at the table spoke about that, like, was your father there or was he not there? And then they was like, well, when you say there, what do you mean by being there? And like, my dad was there, but he wasn't like I said, one, emotionally available, two, like he was just so old school and like in his thinking about men, about women, about this and that. So it was just like, we just butted heads a lot. And I love my daddy. I miss my daddy dearly. But he didn't have his biological father in his life. And I saw how that affected his relationship with his own daughters, because he has 3. So it's like, and when you don't have a close, as a daughter, when I don't have a close relationship with my father, that means that I'm going to go out and I'm looking for that love and affection that a daddy should be giving, that identity that a daddy should be giving, that affirmation that a daddy should be giving. I'm looking to that from these knucklehead boys. And at the end of the day, they all unemotionally available. Like, I'm searching for people who look and act just like my dad. Like, that's so crazy to me. And y'all may not agree with me, but it is so very true that it can truly happen. So it's very important. And I've always just adored father-daughter relationships where the fathers don't play about their children, like, and that they are there, they support, you know what I'm saying, they affirm, they are open. And it's just like, I wish I had it, but I know that he did the best that he could with what he had, and I'm gonna leave it at that. And then lastly, y'all, they spoke on anything, like basically last words that they wanted to say about fathers. And I believe this was towards the end, I think. But they were just saying that sometimes they bust their butts and it goes unnoticed. And they too, as men, would like to be affirmed. They would like to be recognized. And they don't always get the credit for it, or it seems like it's never enough. And I think DeVal said it too, like, he works and he does, him and his wife are both actors, and it's like everybody's always like, oh, the mom is doing this, the mom is doing that, but he's like, when she's on the road, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but she gets all the credit. Like, everybody's like, oh, you got it so hard with all these boys, but what about me? So let's remember to take the time out to validate these men too, because they need it as well. They also touched briefly on how DC dealt with the death of his girlfriend or fiance, Jackie O, and how he pours his heart out into his career, and because it's a safe space. And that was something that all of them like just was like wow about, because they were just like, you know, if you think about it, for all of them, that is their safe space. That is where they go. That is their purpose, and that's important to know your purpose. It's important to have people around you support into you, like a father, to tell you and share with you your identity, and give you a sense of hope that you go and pursue your purpose, what God has given you, so that you can make a difference in the lives of others. Even though when you're going through, just like DC said, even though when you're going through, but when you get on that stage, that's your therapy, and people just laughing and joking and just, but that's his therapy. That's what helps him get through it, right? It gives him a sense of belonging. And then he also spoke about how men should be more softer than what they are, be more vulnerable, like I said, and just have more conversations where they can call one another, text one another, meet up like they did, and, you know, just be a shoulder to lean on, instead of being like, well, I got my thing going and he got his thing going, he be all right, because you never know what somebody's going through, and they feel like that conversation just needs to continue to be had, and they need to call each other up more. And it's like starting to this video in particular, I feel like has, just to get in the minds of a man, I feel like it has opened up a lot of things for these men, because I mean, they was on there just venting and talking and just soaking in all the wisdom and the knowledge and the experiences. Like, it was just a great thing. Listen to each other and reach out more. And then they also talked about whoopings, which was like a funny part. Like I said, you got 3 comedians that don't know how to act. It was very entertaining for sure. And that all kids can't be disciplined the same. And then again, like I said, they had their different perspective on disciplines and whoopings and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what I took away from it was that some men do want to talk, and some men do want to vent. They don't want to be macho all the time. They want a chance to breathe too. They want a chance to sit down and have somebody listen to them and pour into them just as much as we as women do. So I advise you guys to check it out. Again, it's on Kirk Franklin's YouTube channel. The title of the show is Den of Kings. I don't know, like I said, if there are previous episodes or if there will be even more weekly or whatever, but I am going to be watching them, and I'm a fan of them. I love just to sit down and talk about a life, about things in general that people go through, just to sit down and see how people think. And it was very good to see some of my favorite comedians, social media comedians and actors letting loose and just being real, for real. And I love Kirk Franklin. Like they said, they gave him all his flowers while you could still smell him, and that man was just tore up. He was tore up, because he's like, oh, I'm just so grateful for this conversation. Like, they blessed his soul. And I mean, it was so, and yes, there's cussing on there, y'all. So it is what it is. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know if y'all seen the clips. Let me know if y'all watched the episode, or when y'all watch the episode, and let me know what else y'all would like for me to do. If y'all got questions for me, I will answer them, Q&A, whatever. Any shows that is coming out that y'all would like to be reviewed, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't try to spoil things, but sometimes it just happens. It is what it is. But I appreciate you. I do. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.